Yo, what's up, sports bettors? We're going to be breaking down a really good bet, right? So the way that OddsJam works is if you look at the sportsbook screen, all of these books, they all have slightly different odds, slightly different prices from one another. So this is just one market, right? NBA player points. There are literally hundreds of markets you can bet on every sportsbook for NBA games. So you can see there's millions of odds that OddsJam is updating every second across the entire market. And it just tries to point out big discrepancies in the odds, right? Like every sportsbook sets lines independently. So OddsJam is hunting through the market for all the sports books you use. So currently I'm in California, which doesn't have FanDuel, no DraftKings, no Caesars. So there's not a ton of sports books in California. But for the books I use, OddsJam is scanning, all these lines, MLB, player outs, NHL, NBA, everything, trying to point out value discrepancies in the market. So here's one of the first plays that I went with. It's Hunter Green under 17.5 outs, right? And you can see it's the bet in bold and in green, and it's on Fliff. So on Fliff, we're getting this play at minus 115 odds, right? And what's interesting is if you look at this, again, as sharp bettors, we treat every sportsbook as a data point on where should the line be set. So what you're going to see is every sportsbook except for Fliff has Hunter Green's under as the heavily favored outcome. So they all have his line set at 17.5 outs, but most books are like, yo, the under is a lot more likely. Fliff is the only sports book with the over favored. Every other book has the under really heavily favored around like minus 150 odds, right? You can see Pinnacle, which is known to be the sharpest sports book in the world, has this at minus 150. So this is what's so crazy about sports betting, right? All of these books, they all try to set lines independently, and sometimes their models get so out of sync with each other where one sports book is screwing up big time, which is basically what's happening for Hunter Green outs, right? So what we can do is we can kind of back out. So the profit margin of this bet is 4.85%. I bet it for 250 bucks. Right? As you can see right here, I'm always putting my money where my mouth is. All the plays, I'm up $90,000 sports betting this year. Basically every single play I've given out on Twitter, YouTube, or both, right? So like nothing complicated going on here. I just follow the data, try to share the plays and explain the reasoning behind each of my bets, right? So you're going to see Fliff is actually pretty interesting because it's a sports book I'm running a little cold on, but this bet has a 4.85% profit margin. I bet it for 250 bucks on Fliff, right? So the profit margin of my bet in dollars is 250 times 4.85%, 12 bucks and 13 cents, right? So that's basically how you make money sports betting. This bet is worth 12.13 in ROI, right? So I'll include the spreadsheet in the description. This is kind of how you think about sports betting. You take your edge, you multiply it by your stake, and that gets you your profit margin in dollars. So I'm up $90,000 sports betting this year. And basically, you can kind of go through your profit goals, right? Let's say your average bet has an edge or profit margin. This one was 4.85%. But let's say your typical bet has a profit margin of 3.5%. You're betting $1,000 a day, and you want to make 2.5K. How long will that take? Right? Well, what you can do is you can kind of back out, okay, to make $2,500 profit with a 3.5% profit margin, betting $1,000 a day, it's going to take you about 2 months, right? So you can kind of like play with these numbers and see how long it will take you to reach your profit goals. So I'll include this spreadsheet in the description. But again, you're going to want to have as many sports books as possible, right? Like I've used over 40 sports books. All these books have different lines from one another. Here, Fliff is screwing up big time. Sometimes it's another sports book. Sometimes there's really good bets on BetMGM. So the more books you have, the more profitable betting opportunities are going to be available. I'm just in a state that doesn't unfortunately have BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, or Betway. So long story short, we can also kind of go through where is this profit margin coming from, right? So it's pretty simple. Sports books, right? They make money by charging a spread. That spread is called the VIG, right? So we want to use a no VIG odds calculator. So every single sportsbook, they all work in the exact same way, right? They have models that spit out, hey, This is what we think the true line should be, the fair line should be set at, right? So you can see on Pinnacle, if you remove the VIG, so if you just remove the spread, they have a 34-cent spread in their market. So if you remove the spread, the true odds with the VIG removed is minus 128.65 for the under, right? So the way that sportsbooks work is they have fair odds and then they bake in the VIG, right? It's not like I go to Fliff and they charge me a fee for placing my bet on Hunter Green. That's not how they make money. They all make money by charging a spread, just like a stockbroker, right? So the way a stockbroker works is they say, hey, I think this stock is worth $100, so I'll buy it for 99, I'll sell it for 101, and they make a market, right? And they hope people sell it to them for 99, and they hope people buy it from them for 101. So they make that $2 spread. So if someone tells you, hey, I'll buy this stock for 99 bucks, I'll sell it for 101, you know that they think the price is worth the midpoint. They think the true line or the true price of that stock, you just remove the $2 spread, 99 to 101, is 100 bucks. So here, Pinnacle, it's known to be the sharpest, the smartest sportsbook in the world, is they have a 34-cent spread. So we remove that spread and we see, hey, the true line, right, the fair price on the under with the VIG removed, according to Pinnacle, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, is minus 128.65, right? And we're getting minus 115 on Fliff. So we're getting better odds always than the no VIG odds or the fair odds. And as always, I'll include my email in the description. If you have any questions about the math behind sports betting, how to make money sports betting, that's my job. Don't hesitate to reach out, right? So we're always getting better odds than the true odds, right? It's kind of like if every, stockbroker was saying, hey, I think this stock is worth 127 bucks. And then your friend is like, hey, I'll let you buy it for 115. This is your dumb friend, right? Fliff is screwing up versus all of the other sports books posting markets. Like, they're screwing up big time. Every other book has the under heavily favored around minus 150 odds. Fliff has the over favored. What are they doing? I have no idea, but this is an insanely profitable bet we want to take advantage of. So long story short, according to Pinnacle, right, the true line should be minus 128.65. And Pinnacle is the sharpest sports book, but we can look at other sports books as well, right? So Caesars, their market is plus 110, minus 161. So according to Caesars, the fair line is minus 129.54. So they're a little more bullish, right? They have the under a bit more favored than Pinnacle does, right? They have the under all the way at minus 161. Pinnacle was only at minus 149. So they think the under is more likely, and the true line on the under is more like minus 130 as opposed to, minus 128, whatever it was on Pinnacle. So every sportsbook is a data point. So this OddsJam no VIG odds column, it considers all sportsbooks in the market, right? Pinnacle is known to be the sharpest, the smartest sportsbook, but OddsJam considers every sportsbook as a data point on what are the true odds with the VIG removed. And obviously, it's really clear here, Fliff is asleep at the wheel, right? We treat every book as a data point. Minus 115 is a huge discrepancy. It should be clear as day that this is a play you want to go with, right? 4.85% profit margin, $250 stake. So you may be like, okay, I know this play, I know I'm getting value, but how do I get my profit margin? So let's go back here. If we put in Pinnacle's line, right? According to them, the under has a fair price of minus 128.65, and the under is 56.27% to win. So what you can do is you can take this number and put it into an EV calculator, right? So basically, we're betting 100. Imagine you bet 100 bucks, so I'm betting 250. Right? So the expected value of this bet is positive 13 bucks, but 100 bucks, you're betting at minus 115 odds, and the sharpest sportsbook in the world, Pinnacle, thinks this should be priced at minus 128 or whatever it was, which is a win probability of 56.27. Your expected value is 5.2%. So according to Pinnacle, this bet has a 5.2% profit margin, right? But again, like OddsJam, under this percent column, it considers every book, not just Pinnacle, right? Every book is a data point on where should the line be set. So long story short, this is a play with a really strong profit margin, really good bet. Hunter Green under 17.5 outs. I locked it in. Hopefully you guys can tail, and let's make some money, guys.